Okay, so we've talked about what HTML elements are, and now we need to talk about the concept of semantics. So when we talk about writing HTML, we talk about writing semantic HTML. And what that means is that we are using our HTML tags to tell the browser what the meaning of the content is rather than necessarily how the content looks, okay? And this is really important for you to understand early as you start writing HTML, because you're going to be tempted to look at the HTML that you're writing and say, okay, let's say, do I want an H1 or an H2 right here? And you're going to say, oh, well, I want it to be bigger, so I want an H1. But if we're thinking about writing semantic HTML, instead of asking, do we want it to be bigger or smaller, what we're asking is, okay, is this a level 1 heading or is this a level 2 heading? And the best way to think about that is, let's say we're writing HTML for a book, okay? Books have titles, okay? And a title is a level 1 heading. It is the heading that describes all of the rest of the document. And within that document, we might have chapters, okay? So your chapter titles might be an H2. And within your chapters, you might have subchapters. And you might use an H3 to describe the headings for those subchapters. Okay, so when I say semantics, this is what I mean. Is what is the meaning of the content rather than how it's going to look. So let's take a look at this page. This is a portfolio site for someone who apparently works or interns at Facebook. And let's just look at what the meaning of some of this content is. So we've got his name, right? And that's kind of the title of the site. So take a second. What HTML element would you use to describe this? If it was me, I would say this is a level 1 heading. This is the top level heading for the page. Then we've almost always have a menu. And menus are interesting, right? So how would you, take a second, how would you mark up, or what HTML elements would you use for this? Okay, come back. So this is going to be their links. So we're going to use A elements, which you've read about. But also, this is a series of elements, right? This is a list. If I think about the semantic structure of this or the meaning of this, I want to tell the browser that this is a list, okay? And the reason I want to tell the browser that it's a list is for a couple of reasons. One, I want web search engines to be able to really understand my page, okay? Search engines do a lot of work behind the scenes, and the better that the search engine understands your page, the better job it can do of showing that page to people for whom it is meaningful, okay? Also, web browsers like your pages to be well written, okay? If you're writing really nice, like proper HTML, web browsers are going to reward you for that. The other reason we write semantic HTML, though, is that not everybody can see this menu right here, okay? I might be blind. And if I'm blind, I have a screen reader reading this page to me. And you should look up videos of this if you're interested. But screen readers have functionality for lists. It'll say, hey, this is a list. These are list items. And that makes it easier for someone who can't see to understand your page. So let's take a look and let's write a menu semantically using an unordered list. So if we come back to the page we've been working on, I've got my H1, I'm good. And then I'm gonna say, here is my UL. And I've got 3 list items. And each one has an A and an href, which you would fill in. And then the content of that A is, let's see, what did we have? Work, extras, and about. So here's my work link, and then I'm just going to copy this and paste it here and here, make everything pretty. And I think it was work, life, and extras. Okay, so now when I go to my page, obviously nothing looks right, because we're just writing HTML at this point, but this is semantic HTML. This is doing a good job of describing to the browser what it is, what the content means and how it's structured, okay? So if we look all over the web, there's unordered lists everywhere. So we keep reading, hello, I'm Michael. So I might make that an H2. It's a heading, but it's not, it falls under this. Okay, this might be a paragraph or it might be an H3. Some of this is kind of up to you. We could think about, is this a heading or is it a paragraph? And that's an interesting thing to think about. But if we come here, this is a really common layout for a portfolio page. We're going to have a grid of projects that this person has worked on. And so we can say, okay, well, what is the semantic meaning of this? What is the structure of this? And this is another unordered list, right? So I might start writing my unordered list and it might have an image in it. My list item could have an H3 in it or an H4 in it. But again, I'm just really thinking about what is the structure that I'm looking at, and then what is the best way to describe that structure using the HTML elements that I have available to me. All right, so to recap, when you're writing HTML, we are writing HTML in order to describe the meaning and the structure of the content, and we aren't going to care at all how that content appears on the page at this point. We can make it look however we want to later, but when I'm writing HTML, all I'm thinking about is meaning and structure, semantics.